This position totally fooled me. When I first looked at it, I thought it was an easy win for white, and then I realized upon further investigation I was totally wrong. If you would like to pause and try to figure out why do you think I thought it was an easy win for white, and bonus points if you could figure out what I missed that made it not an easy position at all. Well, if you had a chance to look at that, the reason that I thought this was an easy puzzle is because after the move b7, which is the correct move, so if you said that, congratulations. But I thought to myself, okay, you play b7, the rook's under attack. If the rook takes the pawn, well, then you get a queen. So that's pretty straightforward. If the rook tries to move somewhere, anywhere over here, you get whatever queen you want. And when the rook takes you get another queen. And black's pawn is, I mean, it's 3 moves away from becoming a queen. However you look at it, 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3. Plenty of time for me to do something with my queen and win the game. That's what I thought. Now, what did I miss? So after b7, and black takes this, and queen here, black has an incredible move that totally slipped my mind. If you would like to pause, what move does black have here? If you had a chance to look at that, black's going to play rook to d7. And why is this such a good move? Well, if we just do a random move like, let's say, capturing the pawn, black's going to go rook to d5, checkmate. That's game over, folks. If you look carefully, our king is totally trapped. The rook, the bishop, the pawn, the king, and this guy over here stopping our king from escaping. Our king is totally trapped, okay? So we're in a mating net. And if we're not careful, rook to d5 is just going to simply checkmate us. That is why, even though we have a queen, this is far from over. On top of the checkmate threat, black also does have ideas of either capturing or pushing this pawn and getting a queen like this that we have to watch out for. So that's why it was not easy at all, and this is where it starts to get interesting. So if you would like to pause, what should white play next to win the game? There's only one winning move. If you had a chance to do that, the move that white needs to play is queen to b4 check. Now, the reason we're going here is probably not obvious. Now, maybe you say, well, it's a check. It's the only check that I see where my queen doesn't get taken, so maybe I should go for it. And if that's your logic, well, I guess that's fine. But the reason is we need to force the king off of this square, and that's important. For example, if the king goes backwards, we are really happy about that because now we can actually take this. And remember that checkmate on d5 before? Guess what? It's no longer checkmate because look at this. Our king can escape, right? Black's king before was guarding the escape square. Okay, so that's important. So that's one thing. If we can force the king back, then we would be happy. However, black says, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go to f7. And guess what? Now, if we do this, same thing. It's checkmate again because the king is still guarding our escape square. Okay, so after king to f7, what is our follow-up? Well, there's another point behind why we played queen to b4. See if you can figure out what it is. If you had a chance to look at that, the only winning move here is queen to b7. Okay, and what we're doing is taking advantage of the fact that the rook is no longer defended by the king. So we're threatening to actually just take the rook. And of course, if the rook takes us, guess what? We recapture, we're going to get a queen, and we're going to win. And black is not in time to get the queen, and then we can, do whatever we need to do with the queen. Okay, so that's kind of the idea. And the important thing is the king is already pushed away from our queen b4 check, so it's not defending the rook. So if we go back to the beginning here, if we would have tried to play queen b7 right away, it doesn't have the same effect because the king is already defending the rook. Black says, well, I don't have to worry about this. Guess what? They take here, and they start coming down this way, and black actually wins this position. So after like queen b4, yes, we can take the pawn, but then there's that checkmate again, right? So you can see the problem. Okay, hopefully that made sense. So we throw in the check first, then we go to b7. And by the way, you can't get away with capturing here because black's going to simply take, and you can never really take the pawn because guess what? The checkmate on d5. That's kind of the problem, and black is going to start pushing this guy, and it's actually a winning position for black, okay, because we can't really deal with the checkmate here. All right, so going back to the main position, queen to b4, the king moves over, and we play this really nice move, queen to b7. However, black just says, okay, well, I'll just go back, defend my rook, and we still have the problem as white of, okay, what do we do next? So if you would like to pause, what should we play? If you had a chance to look at that, the move now is capturing the pawn, because if you remember before, the rook to d5 checkmate does not exist right now because we are pinning the rook to the king. Okay, so remember that's a key feature here. we're basically preventing checkmate by pinning the rook. And of course, we already talked about why black doesn't want to take that. Okay, great. So black says, all right, I'll push the pawn since I can't really do anything else. And again, we have to figure out what do we play as white. You had a chance to look at that. The move is d5. And it's funny because in all those other lines, this was the square where we could, like, you know, we had to watch out for because the rook was going there. And now we're just capturing and pushing our pawn there, right? And black can't take it. Again, the same pin. So there's a couple things black could try here. One of them would be to simply capture this, but then we actually just throw in a check. And when the king moves, we take the bishop, and black's position is falling apart. The pawns are just not far enough advanced to really do anything, and this is going to be a win. And so the other move for black to try here is actually now taking the queen. Now you say, well, aren't they just letting us get a queen? They are, but black's idea is that they're going to push, and when we get the queen, they're going to get the queen. So what should we play in this position? Well, if you had a chance to look at that and you said get a queen, then I tricked you. That's not the move, although it does lead to a win, but that's not the intended solution that the composer of this puzzle had in mind. So the intended solution was actually pushing the pawn with check first, forcing the king to move somewhere. Let's just say over here. Then you get the queen, and then you have this move queen to c7, which kind of finishes off the game because after this trade, you get the follow-up queen. All right, so that was the solution. Not easy at all, like I thought originally. Now, just in case you were wondering, if you did get the queen here right away, you can still basically transpose to the same thing after you play d6, and it's kind of like you play d6 first, but the intended solution was throwing in that little move. And again, regardless of where the king moves, there's only two options, really. You end up with the same position if they go here that I just showed you. And I'll go ahead and show you the other one. If they go here, you actually have queen to b7, and it leads to a checkmate like this after you get the double queens. All right, and then mate in 3 from here. This does the trick, and then let's see, what is it? This one, and then like this, just as an example. Okay, so nice little puzzle. I totally, when I looked at it, totally missed that idea of rook to d7. If we go back to the beginning, did not see this at all, and that is why it was not an easy puzzle. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. As always, thanks for watching. Stay sharp, play smart, and take care.